more of your money. But I'm totally committed to this race. I'm very happy. I've had a great reception around the state today, and I'll be back in Chicago tomorrow for more media. Would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yes?
Okay, so why are you running for what makes it the Rodney Dangerfield to stay office?
Well, it may seem like that, but there are actually states that are looking at putting the lieutenant governor position back into their organization. New Jersey is one that I believe it's passed the House and it is ready to pass the Senate. They had a different style without a lieutenant governor and ran into serious problems when the governor, I don't remember if he was indicted like Illinois was, but he was removed from office. The other reason is really the issues that the lieutenant governor handles, being downstate, farm issues, small town issues, and I think that my background serves very well to focus in on those. Now, it's also been a tradition for the lieutenant governor to pick out some type of area of expertise that he wants to focus on. I know Corinne Wood looked at women's cancer issues as one that she wanted to focus on. I think if I was allowed to choose a particular area, is to work as a backup for the governor while he's in office, so that you can have another set of eyes and ears at the leadership meetings, that you have somebody that is trained in the unusual circumstance where he does follow an existing governor, heart attack. I mean, Jim Edgar came very close to not lasting through his second term. He had serious, significant health issues. We need to have a lieutenant governor that is in as part of the team from the get-go. And I think that's probably the best role that the lieutenant governor can do, is to act as a stand-in and a second for the governor on a regular basis.
One of the things, Mr. Evil, fundraising, how does a candidate for lieutenant governor go about raising campaign funds?
Well, it's I think the image of the Rodney Dangerfield, it is an area that is more difficult than treasurer, attorney general, governor to raise campaign cash. So it's a matter of getting around to the different groups and introducing yourself and say, I need help. I need to have introductions to you, to your friends, and it's simply a matter of taking the state race to a larger extent. And I've never raised huge amounts of money. I outwork my opponents rather than outspend them, and I think that is the element of this Change Illinois initiative that may allow me to run a relatively frugal campaign and yet be in front of the public offering some ideas for once instead of just a face and a name. And I think that in fact can lead to a victory in a primary without having to outspend with millions of dollars.
Also, do you feel they have to do any education that people have to realize that the lieutenant governor is not part of the tickets in Illinois? Well,
yeah. I mean, it is because they always do run in the general election as a team. So I have talked to all of the gubernatorial candidates that have identified themselves so far and talked about who I am and what I could offer to their team. It has been the case in some past elections where they select a running mate. Other elections, it is pretty much wide open. I don't know how it will shake out over the next 2 or 3 months, but I think I do have some assets to bring to a team.
Is this the Change Illinois Initiative? Is that the name for the three?
You know, it doesn't have a final one. We had a meeting with all of the groups in there, and a fair and balanced districting. Nobody has yet signed on to the actual language. And the problem is when you put the petition out on the street, it has to be in final language or any signatures you get are invalid. It has some tough, in other words, a sheet of signatures from Winnebago County will only count those from Winnebago. So somebody from Boone County would have to have a separate sheet. Each county, because you turn them into the county election authorities, has to be a separate sign-up, or they're invalid if they're mixed. So it's a little bit more technical than most candidates' ballots are. But these groups, I think, they had to go back to their boards. They had to agree with their attorneys on what the exact language, because we also have to get through the Illinois Supreme Court, who has thrown out 4 of the 5 initiatives that were presented to the State Board of Elections. But I've been working with a law professor from John Marshall School of Law, who was one of the parliamentarians of the Constitutional Convention in 1970. And she's helping develop the language and get our best shot in front of the Illinois Supreme Court, that if we get the signatures, that it would withstand their muster.
What groups are backing this?
Well, I won't say that any are officially backing because they don't have board permission to sign on yet, but the meeting included Ralph Martiri's group, the Center for Tax and Budget Accountability, the Illinois Policy Institute, Change Illinois, the Illinois League of Women Voters, and I've talked to a number of others that are very interested in it, that have the language to look at, but they weren't able to make that meeting. But I would say we probably have a dozen groups that are interested in it. And what happened under the only other initiative ever to pass was Pat Quinn's in 1982 that cut back the General Assembly and ended up with the centralized leadership control that we have today. And he did form kind of a coalition of a number of interest groups as an umbrella organization, and we're in the process of getting that formed. So, other questions? If not, I thank you all for coming out.